All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. As we all started making maybe some changes and some transitions this morning, Ray and I thought what better timing for this particular topic, mentally preparing to transition back to the office. We're incredibly excited of the interest we've received in this. I don't know if you all are familiar with Zoom, but our capacity is limited to 300. We had to cut off registration for today's session. So there is another opportunity next week on the 12th if you have friends or family that are interested in joining in for this session as well. So my name is Brianna Larimer. I work as a business trainer and consultant with the Missouri Training Institute. I'm going to be helping facilitate some of the presentation today, so I'll be responding to you in chat. Bear with me. I am a little alarmed, making sure I can keep up with everybody, because if we do receive those 300 people today, I certainly want to make sure we are answering everyone in a timely fashion. So if there's something I don't get to, please send us an email, mti@missouri.edu, and we will certainly get back with you on that. Use your chat box for any questions or comments throughout the presentation. Because we're expecting that larger number, everyone's going to remain muted, at least for right now. We'll see how the end of the session goes and where we're at time-wise. The other piece I wanted to let you know is this session is being recorded. So it will be provided to our IT team, and we'll get that uploaded hopefully later this week onto the MTI website. And that website is mti.missouri.edu. So we'll revisit that again towards the end of the presentation. I'm certainly looking forward to today's session. I hope you all are as well. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Ray Lyon, our Associate Director of the Missouri Training Institute.
Hi, welcome everybody. I'm really excited to be talking to you today about that mental preparation that we're all starting to maybe have to think about just when we got comfortable working from home, but now thinking about transitioning back into the workplace. So as Brianna mentioned, my name's Ray, and I'm the Associate Director at Missouri Training Institute. So in front of you, you see our director, Dewey. He's been with MTI, oh my goodness, over 20 years. I've been there 12 years, and we're lucky enough to have Brianna on for over a year now, looking at almost 18 months, so that's very exciting. My background is actually in banking. My undergraduate degree is not anywhere near finance, but it really, that was my segue into the business world and to working in a community of individuals. I also have a background in teaching, and I taught high school in Columbia at Hickman for about 7 years. And so Missouri Training Institute just kind of allowed me to marry everything that I loved about business and personal development and personnel development, and everything that I loved about teaching. And of course, you've heard me say it, none of what I didn't. So I don't have to call your parents. Didn't like that so much, and I don't have to grade anything, so that's excellent. So that's a little bit about me. I do want to mention that we will be continuing to do these webinars, maybe forever and ever. Maybe this is a new normal for us, but wanted to mention some upcoming free Topic Tuesday webinars that we're having in June. May is our emotional intelligence webinars, and so if you didn't sign up for those, it's a little late now because it's a series, but we're going to pick back up in June. And we have one June 9th for extension only employees and June 18th for the public. And the difference is we just tailor our stories and our conversations a little bit more towards extension when we're having those particular webinars. And that's going to be on accountability. So we're going to have a free webinar on accountability. And then June 25th and June 30th, we're going to have one on just remaining proactive and staying in that bubble, if you will, taking charge and making things happen that you want to have happen. So Brianna will be facilitating that one coming up later in June. And then I want to mention some really exciting opportunities. And so we've got what we plan in July. We're going to try to start getting back to normal a little bit, really handling a lot of the topics that we're known for. So starting in July, on Fridays, we're going to do Flash Friday webinars. These are all open to the public, pretty professional development topics that you might be interested in. So we've got handling change fatigue. So if you're just tired of all of the metamorphoses that we're going through, we've got some tips on how you might manage that a little bit. We are doing one on time management. So of course, an hour to cram in all of those tips, tricks, and strategies on time management. And then in August, we're going to do one on work-life balance. And so many of us will have been back into the workplace, maybe settling in a little bit. Hopefully school will be on the horizon at that point. So thinking about how am I going to balance all that I do professionally with everything that I do personally. So you'll have an opportunity to sign up. Those are limited enrollments. We're only accepting 50 people because we really want these to be interactive. We want to do breakout rooms and open chats verbally. So we're limiting our enrollment on that. Those are going to be 10 a.m. on Fridays. And then we're going to offer some topic Tuesdays still, but more geared towards supervisors, managers, and leaders. And so these, again, it's starting in July. These will be 90-minute sessions. They are open to the public, but you can see the topics are a little bit more geared towards that particular title. So leading through change, and that's going to be a big one for all of us as we continue to evolve and determine what we're going to look like now. The end of July, we've got one on strengths, and that's Clifton Strengths. We will be offering the assessment, the full 34 strengths assessment, and that's for the $49 goes to Clifton Strengths for that assessment. That would be in addition to the content fee. And then in August, again, open to the public, we've got one on coaching. So those are all of our topic Tuesdays that we plan to continue once we get through June, and we start up again in July with Flash Fridays and topic Tuesdays. So hope to see you there. You can register on our website. They'll be up soon. Okay, so I'm going to take a breath. And we have a little poll, a little multiple choice poll for you. So Brown is going to bring that up. And you can vote as many times as you want on these items. I know I look at these, but it's really, what have you enjoyed most about working from home? So take a look at those options. Again, pick more than one if you want to.
All right, votes are coming in. I like it. At this point, we have about 200 people on this session. So thank you all again so much for joining us. I'll give a few more seconds here to make sure everyone has an opportunity. So if you are choosing other, I'm seeing some chats already come in here. If you're choosing others, please describe what it is then in the chat session, and we'll speak to that here in just a second. We're going to go ahead and close this down in 3, 2, 1. All right.
All right.
A lot of people like the comforts of home.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, I'm seeing here for others, the no commute. I'm seeing the less distractions. So less distractions at home than in the office. Saved lots of money on not eating out or getting gas. Yes. Being able to work outside when the weather's nice. So just that flexibility of able to move your home office place to place. No traffic issues, certainly. Lots of people agree on the no commute. No
Yeah.
cute. So having the company of my dogs, they're great coworkers. Thanks, Vicki. All right. Those are
Wonderful.
what I'm seeing in chat.
Yeah, thanks. You know, when I was putting those options together, I was like, I can't decide. I mean, all of them I have really enjoyed. Probably I'd have to say the flexibility of attire, mostly because I've enjoyed the comforts at home a little too much, that being ease of cooking. And I know I've gained like 5 pounds. So getting back into my work clothes, I don't know. I'll have to start thinking about that a little bit now. But as we think about these options, the things that we've really enjoyed from home, I want to encourage you, and we'll break this out as we go through the presentation, but is there anything that you've been enjoying at home, whether it's tangible or intangible, that you can bring with you? So thinking about how can I transition the things that I enjoyed most with me? How can I bring those with me back into the workplace? All right. So when we started this work from home order, and for many of us that happened mid-March, and I know at the university we were said spring break, don't come back. And so that was there mid-March and end of March. And a lot of things when we were talking about, you know, handling that remote office situation, you know, people were enjoying that ease of hours. Vicki, I heard, you know, say I enjoyed having my dog as my coworker, and of course, all of those comforts from home. So those are very standard things that many of us have been enjoying from home. But when I ask, what do you miss from the office? They miss the regulated hours. They miss the kind of that time they knew that was for family, and then time they knew was for work. And so going back to the office, will be adjusting to more regulated hours. Of course, the camaraderie. So where it might have been seen as something I missed, some of us now are like, you know what? I enjoyed having my pets around or having my family members around. And then a lot of people, and Brianna will remember this, miss their printers, miss the multiple screens that they could have because they didn't have all of that technology at home. So know this, that when we got the mandate to work from home, there was a transition period then. Probably took us anywhere from 18 to 21 days to really settle in and develop that routine and start figuring out what we actually appreciated about having to work from home. So I'm gonna say this, there's gonna be that similar transition time. Thinking about, wow, just when I got settled in, just when I figured it out, now we're gonna be moving back into the workplace. So well, get ready is basically what I'm saying, but also know there is a transition period as well. So there needs to be a little bit of grace on your part with you, as well as your leaders, as you begin to transition home or transition back to the office. So things to think about when we think about going back, and whether this impacted you or whether it didn't, but maybe we need to be aware of it for those we'll be working around, or if you have clients, maybe these are some of the things that they're dealing with. So I really want you to keep these in mind as you think about an office environment now. But you might be working with people that have lost someone due to the virus or other ailments during this time. So the support systems, our inability to gather for those types of celebrations have not been there. So be mindful of people that may have actually lost someone during this time. Perhaps you're going back into an environment where not everybody is returning for whatever reason. If they're on short-term furloughs or layoffs, or if there has even been some reorganizing of departments or programs. So thinking about coworkers that aren't returning. So as you get perspective, as you get to transition back, there are some people that don't have that luxury. Maybe some of us might be experiencing some financial difficulties as a result of this. And I know I was telling my coworkers this morning, although I have yet to find out about any job ramifications of the budgeting issues with the university, I did find out on Saturday that I have termites. And so it's not a great time to be dropping a couple $1,000s on termite eradication, but of course, you know, it has to be done. But again, experiencing some type of financial instability, being aware of some unintentional biases. You know, we might, whether that comes from blaming a certain nationality, maybe it's about our own political systems, our authorities, thinking about that. So just be aware. Here's the thing, it's very normal. It's very human. It's about self-preservation when we have these types of biases. But what I want you to understand is, what are yours? What are yours? And just being aware of those. And then, of course, high-risk groups. They're being asked to come back into the workplace, and maybe they're still a little bit fearful of the health concerns. And if Brianna will allow me, she's expecting a baby in October. And so I know, even though she has been given the go-ahead for face-to-face training and travel again, we're saying, no, we're going to protect you a little bit. You know, if you want to continue to work from home, or, you know, we'll take you off the road. So just recognizing that some people who are being asked to come back to work still have those concerns, maybe about their own health and what might be going on. In addition, of course, there's going to be some safety issues. And one of the things I heard consistently was, how do we get good information? There's so many different ways that we're being fed information. And you know what? It's changing. It's shifting all the time. So again, we're doing the best that we can, but of course, all of this is in short-term increments when we think about planning. The scarcity of personal protective equipment, whether that be masks or gloves. And of course, every other video that's come out on Facebook has been about how to make your own masks. And today, a woman had cut up a t-shirt and used the sleeve. And it was magical because it shaped her face perfectly. And of course, that soft fabric was really nice. So, you know, maybe we're looking into something like that. And also thinking about how those of us that work in areas that are open, maybe we have cubicles in our offices, there might be some re-engineering of those workspaces. Maybe we're going to have to spread those cubicles out, or we're going to have to stagger our workforce as far as who can be there at what times. You know, I was checking out at Walmart the other day, and it was every third checkout lane was being used because they were trying to social distance those people that were standing in line. Of course, being very mindful of those touch-free accesses. So again, this is all just getting you ready to think about going back into the workplace and things that are going to be new to us, but we need to bring with us as we go. Changes in work processes. Thinking about, I was just thinking about the webinars versus in-person training, or we are going to be able to offer face-to-face training, but only with 9 people. And so sometimes those things are changing as well. Now, this one is particularly for you if you are responsible for the work of others. If you are a supervisor, several things you need to be aware of. One is, your employees' morale needs to be at the top of your list. Don't quit now. I know a lot of us became much more intentional at dealing with those interpersonal relationships. Don't stop. Just because we've gone back into a more formal setting or environment, make sure that you're still protecting employee morale and taking time to do that. I also encourage you, stay up to date on the legal stuff that's surrounding this. You know, when I was doing the research for this particular topic, there were lots of things out there that I just wouldn't have thought of as a supervisor. And so what does it mean to have reasonable accommodation? Thinking again, back to Brianna's situation, you know, what is a reasonable to expect? What happens during long-term furloughs? What does that mean? What's the difference between a furlough and a layoff? Or are we, because of furloughs or layoffs, are we going to have to go for a full rehiring process? I know tomorrow morning I have a mandatory FMLA training. I can't think of anything I probably wouldn't want to do, but now my motivation is definitely there because there's lots of legal things that are going on with all of this time. Maybe there's been some reclassifications, maybe exempt and non-exempt employees because we've had to reduce work hours. That happened with my significant other. He was asked to only work 32 hours, and then they were going to utilize vacation time for the other 8 hours. So he's actually losing vacation this year because he's still getting paid for it. But maybe there's a changing pay structure. So tap into your HR, make sure that you're staying up to date. If somebody's asking you a question, don't just give what you think, go and find out, do some research so that you make sure that you stay out of a courtroom. And we know that each organization has been working very diligently trying to plan the reentry. And so everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. So there's not a standard way that we're getting back into the workplace. There might be phases. A certain number of people come back and we acclimate, and then we bring a certain number on board again. So I know that they're going to continue to try to physically distance employees. That could be in not only the office space, but that could be in, shared meeting spaces as well. And of course, safety and hygiene, deep cleaning, a high priority for many organizations. And when I think about this, maybe you don't think this virus is a big deal. Maybe the lines in the grocery store, the up arrows and the down arrows of where you can go, you thought, oh, phooey on all of that. That may be true, but keep in mind, there might be other people that are very sensitive to those situations. So treat each other kindly when you're thinking about safety and hygiene, and know that when you're returning and you look around and there's empty chairs and desks and not everybody's back, that could also begin to trigger some emotional responses. And if it does, let's talk about it. Definitely don't swallow that. Don't fake your way through it. Let's go ahead and process that, because we know that what you perceive is going to be very real for you. And when it becomes that real for you, that's usually where our actions and our emotions are going to be happening. So perception is reality, and what people perceive is what they believe is happening. So stay transparent. Make sure that you're giving as much information. Make sure you're asking for everything that you need in all of this. So being transparent is essential. If you know people are not going to be returning, let's talk about that. The last thing that I think managers and leadership should do right now is try to manage the truth. We're all adults. We all have access to so much information that having somebody else make those choices for what they think we should be hearing and not hearing, I don't think is a wise decision. And so be as transparent as absolutely possible. And I think common sense should prevail. And the reason I mentioned this specifically is because when we become emotionally motivated, right? And that's at whatever emotion you want to put in there. Sometimes we lose our rationality. We lose that common sense and our ability to organize. So think about when you're making the decision, where is that decision coming from? Is it grounded in sound judgment? Do you have a policy or a procedure? Are you following your organization's values? So again, even though MU, eventually we're going to be coming back on campus, their policy, their value right now is employee health. So absolutely, if you're not comfortable coming back, even though they've lifted the stay at home, that's what we need to respect. right? So thinking about when I'm making decisions, where is that coming from? All right, I'm going to take a breath for a moment. I'm going to see if Brianna has anything that is coming across in chat that she might want to share with us before we move into some specific steps.
I'm not seeing any questions at this time, Ray. I'll certainly encourage anyone, if you have any thoughts, questions, or comments during this, please send those in, and we will certainly get to them throughout the presentation. But
absolutely. Thanks, Brianna. Just wanted to check. So things that you can do as you begin to prepare. These are some steps that you can take. The first thing is get your mind around it. Come to the standing that, yeah, you know what, we are going to go back, but know this, it will not look like it did when we left. Things will change, and I think things will change for the better. And so just mentally embrace it. Identify what's working for you at home. Think about your productivity habits. Think about your structure. Think about your communication with your coworkers. What of those can you bring back with you? And identify them, write them down, talk about it with your team, what you hope to carry forward when you come back. What is for you then going to be the most difficult thing of coming back? So again, identify that, let's talk about it, let's process it. Maybe just airing that or just becoming aware of it, bringing it to the surface will also then help you overcome maybe that hesitancy or that difficulty that you might be having with it. What's going to change at home? What's the new normal? And I heard, I think I've mentioned this before, but it's the now normal because, you know, in 2 days is going to be a new now normal. But what might change as a result of walking back into the office? And anything that you can begin to adjust at home right now is probably a good idea. I mentioned this morning, it used to take me 42 minutes. When my alarm went off at 6 a.m., it took me 42 minutes to shower, drink my coffee, get my hair, get dressed, and I could be ready to walk out that door at 6:42 to the office. Right now, it's taking me about 3 hours to get to the same place. And so I probably need to really be thinking about, it's not that I don't get up at 6, I still get up at 6, but I've got, you know, I'm not in such a rush. I'm not as methodical with those processes. So I probably need to be thinking about getting back to some kind of more condensed time frame for getting ready. And again, what are some preconceived ideas you're already holding? You know, and here's what I'm thinking. You know, maybe you're thinking, well, this is it's gonna be horrible. Maybe you're in a very negative mind space about the whole virus or the whole situation. And many times when we have that viewpoint, we work to fulfill it. So reframe your thinking a little bit. Again, be aware of it. But what I want you to ask yourself is this helping me? Or is this hindering me from being successful during this transition? Now, back to the family. And some of us are going to be jumping back in. We're now going to have family members going 4 different directions and all with different needs and maybe even all at the same time. Or in this situation, maybe only one of you is going back into the office environment and we're leaving one parent or we're having to find accommodations for our kiddos. I know we got an announcement, this affected my grandkids, of course, more than me, but all of the city pool, all of those things shut down. So where kids used to go there and spend a good majority of their day, that's not going to be available. And so parents are scrambling to find those types of accommodations. So get back into the routine, the prep time, the commute time. So many of you mentioned that this morning that you actually enjoyed not commuting. But knowing now that you're going to have to, how can you enjoy the commute? Maybe you want to bring those podcasts that you've been listening to at home. Maybe you want to bring those on your commute as well. I know sometimes I don't listen to anything. I don't listen to the radio. I've been talking. I just want it to be quiet when I have that windshield time. And then organize at home. Go back and think about how these things will change or these things will be impacted. Of course, we mentioned your attire. It's very easy once we've been home and we've been much more relaxed and we've seen each other in much more relaxed clothing to go ahead and bring that to the office with us. Make sure that's okay. Make sure that's appropriate. Sometimes it's a slippery slope when we kind of become too casual. Think about our transportation. Maybe we went down to one car. And so now how are we going to get everybody where they're going with one car? And of course, childcare and any daily stuff that's going to be changing as we move back. So think about not only what you're going to go into the office with, but also how am I going to maintain that routine back at home? Okay? And so set out a new plan. Talk about it. Who's going to be doing what? Maybe there's some role changes that are going to be happening as a result of new work hours, or who might be going back and who might not. So really create that plan and make sure that you've taken care of that so that you can emotionally deal with some of the things that you're going to be having to do going back. I encourage you. You've created a routine. Just like you did at the office, guess what? Stick to that. If you get up and you have, your cup of tea or your coffee, continue to do that. If you eat oatmeal every morning, continue to do that. If you sit down and just catch up on some emails, as soon as you get in to the office, keep that routine. You have created some of those boundaries for your time. And I encourage you, communicate that and stick to those things. They've been working for you, hopefully, by now. And so really, it's okay to have those moving forward. This particular step I liked is thinking about, when you talk about that one thing that you might want to bring from home, what is it? Can you bring it with you? Now, when I think about that, I think about my fridge. So I'm not so sure I can bring my refrigerator with me. But was there something else? Maybe there was a plant that sat next to you in your office every day. Can you bring that with you? Or somebody mentioned, their office is cold. Maybe it's the blanket that comes back with you. So is there a way that you can create kind of the same office setting you have now back in the office that you are going to? And this is for my boss, Dewey. I definitely think your plant is dead by now. So you probably need to be bringing one from home. It's been in total darkness for 2 months. So I don't think you're going to be able to revive it this time. Okay. So mimic that environment. Again, surround yourself with those things that are familiar. Control the controllables. It's my motto. So take care of all of these things ahead of time as you begin to transition back into the workplace. All right. So again, I'm going to take a breath. I know this has gone pretty fast. This is just an open chat. But when you think about your home work life, what is that one thing you'd like to bring back to the office? Maybe it's tangible, maybe it's intangible. So give us a chat and I'll turn it over to Brianna and you can let us know what people are saying.
Absolutely. As those are coming in, I'll say for me, Ray, I'm probably going to be bringing my actual boom box just so you know, so that I can listen to different radio stations. I forgot how much I just enjoy listening to the radio. So we are seeing my cat. Oh, that's good, Riley. Yeah, I wish I could bring my little puppy back to the office with me too. Scentsy warmers. That's it. That's an excellent idea. Maybe some warm essentials, things like that, just to kind of calm the mood. Absolutely. Mark is going to incorporate some more flexible time in his workday to exercise.
Nice.
So if I'm seeing others here, pictures. Robin says pictures that the boys have colored for me. So bring back some of those little home mementos from the kiddos. A porch swing. That's going to be interesting to fit in your office, Tara. I'm curious how big your office is.
That would be great.
I know, right? I'm seeing a lot of other ones, kids' artwork they did it while they were at home. I'm seeing some people say that they're going to take some more time to go outside when they have free moments. My orchid. Someone's going to bring their flower back. So let's see. Not big. Tara responded. Thank you, Tara. Her office is not that big and no windows. So I can see why you'd want the porch swing.
Yeah.
Cindy says that she's going to take her office plant. She remembered to take it home with her, so she's going to take it back.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yes. Walking outside during meetings. So actually, Kirsten said she's doing that right now while she's watching our webinar.
Excellent.
Yes. So it sounds like we have some things here we've certainly enjoyed. I liked yours about the fridge, Ray. It would not be good during this pregnancy either, because I know I got on the scale yesterday at the doctor's office and about cried. So
well, you have permission. They want you gaining weight for sure.
That's what I hear. I don't know though.
If you haven't thought about that thing, maybe you can. Maybe it's a way for you to mark the transition. So really identifying that plant, or taking the artwork and let's put it in some frames. Let's go ahead and make it look intentional. And that can be the marker of your transition. So I encourage you, before you get the okay to walk back into your office, do what you can now to get ready for that. Talk to your coworkers about what you do want to bring into the new workspace and the new environment. Things that you tried at home, even though you tried it only because you were at home, doesn't mean you won't be able to then bring it forward with you. And of course, it never hurts to ask, right? So yeah, that maybe the kitty cat can come, who knows? You got to find out about allergies, but it never hurts to ask. And I encourage you, start thinking about these things now as you begin to mentally prepare to transition back into the office. All right. So a couple of final thoughts for you. The one is stay open. Figure out what worked for you. Talk to your coworkers, talk to your boss, share that information. You've been a one-person office. Now you're going back to a 21-person offices. So exchange that information and let's stay open about what's going on. And I will tell you, I think, and I don't know if Brianna wants to agree with me, but I really feel that our ability to communicate with each other, i.e. Brianna and Dewey, I think it's been heightened. I think we have strengthened our ability to communicate. And so I want to really maintain that flow of communication when we get back to the office. The way that, not just the socializing part, but the way that we communicate about the work that we're doing, about the projects and the ideas that we're having. And many times, we might be in a discourse back and forth, and then somebody will just say, let's call each other. And so just even the method at which we use to communicate, we're being much more intentional. And I really, honestly, I want to bring that back to the office with us, our ability to communicate. So stay open, keep sharing, talk about what's working, talk about what's not working, talk about what you need to continue to do or you need to stop doing when you get back into the office. And everything that we've been talking about during this work from home has been about self-discipline, right? When do I shut it down? I don't have those regimented work hours. How do I get in the feel of being in a work mode when I'm in, jammy pants and a t-shirt? That all comes back to you. That all comes back to your self-discipline, and you control you, right? So I encourage you, we've had to build in that socialization time in order to stay connected in a remote environment. Don't lose it. Don't lose it, because morale is going to be very, very important as we come back in this changing space. So be very intentional with how you're going to reconnect with coworkers. Be mindful. Some people have been at home for 2 months, maybe by themselves. Not as lucky to have our coworkers with us at home, i.e. family members. And so that transition is going to be a little bit different. Now we're getting back into the buzz of the office, the hubbub and the interruptions, even though they might be welcomed and necessary, but they're not under our own control. So be mindful of those. I also encourage you, don't get frustrated if you find that you're not keeping up or that your output is slowing down. That's to be expected. Anytime we go through this emotional transition, and whether we're highly elated or we're more frustrated or scared, whatever that emotion is probably going to take over for a little while. So I would, as a manager, I'm going to expect just a slight decline in productivity as we begin to figure it out, and as we begin to build that momentum back to the now normal in the office. So don't beat yourself up if you're not checking off the boxes. There should be probably a slight decline. If you need it, how you've established those, what I call power hours at home, let's communicate that. Block that time off. A lot of people have been using that chunking time of time management, and so continue to do that. But let's communicate it, right? Let's communicate. I'm only going to read emails from 7 a.m. to 9:30 and correspond. Then I'm going to do project work. So let's communicate what that block scheduling might look like. And of course, if somebody else's social calendar conflicts with yours and with the deadlines, go ahead and step out there and let them know. You want to join in those things that you want to be a part of, but if you're running up against a deadline, just let them know, hey, as soon as I get this completed, you know, I'll meet you guys in the break room or whatever. And then be intentional with those things. So I want you to give us one thing that you think you're going to gain, right? This has to be a gain by going back to the office. What are you going to gain by going back?
I'm going to gain my awesome team back, Ray. having our time downstairs, hanging out. We're in the basement for those on our webinar. So it's funny, you put the most energetic people in the basement.
Yeah.
Party.
Store us away.
That's right. That's right. Access to a printer, that says Liz. And Kylie says balanced home and work life. So understanding how to do that now. Absolutely. We have structure and consistency, kind of being able to maintain, get back into that routine, I think is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Team and collaboration. Matt says he's going to gain knowing what day it is.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yes. I think it's Danae, much faster technology. The chit chat with colleagues, access to files and printers. Ray, I think you can speak to that too. There's some files you've been needing that are still in the office.
That's a good argument for digitizing everything. Yeah, so that might be a new project for me when I return, is getting all of that stuff digitized. So I'm happy.
Seeing a lot of the socializing, the face-to-face conversations. Kirsten says the expertise from her colleagues. So checking in and using them as a resource also. The access to technology and equipment, seeing that again. Cindy says adult conversations and options instead of kid ones. I believe it's Billy, says 2 monitors. So I can speak as well. I'll be looking forward to that. Lots of people now, saying they're monitors. Karen says losing the weight that she gained.
I hear you, Karen. Me too.
Absolutely. I think that's about it. Everyone else is kind of time with our students, says Linda. So being able to get back to, it maybe sounds like working with youth. So restricted access to snacks, says Tara. not having the refrigerator next door. But some excellent gains here, it looks like.
Wonderful. And I think that's a great place to be mentally. It's not gonna be the same, and maybe that's okay, right? A question we like to ask around Missouri Training Institute is, how is this the best problem we ever had? And so keeping a positive mind frame, acknowledging and being aware of what you're thinking, but then asking yourself, is this serving me? Or is this hindering me in moving forward? So keep yourself accountable for your thinking. And of course, things that will all be transferable is your independent thinking, your critical thinking, your routine, right? We can all bring a routine to work. And of course, that comfort. Hopefully we're not, working in sweatshops and we're not confined. We can allow ourselves some of that comfort, personal comforts. And so all of those things are going to be able to come back with us. And again, it's going to take about 18 to 21 days to settle in. So you could be looking at 3 weeks, even a month. There's about 22 average work days, average 22 days in a work month. So, it could take you a month to get back to it. And that's if you go back, full time every day for those 2 months. So really give yourself a little bit of grace time as you begin to adjust, but stay transparent and talk about what you're thinking and what you're feeling and how you want to overcome some of those things. So I know we still have quite a few people with us, and thank you. So I don't know that I'm going to open up the airways, so to speak, but if anybody has a particular question that you'd like to ask that you think it will apply, generally we'd love to have that in the chat box, and I'll give Brianna a moment to look at that. And then I've just got last bit.
Absolutely. So we had one that came in a little bit earlier from Jennifer, and I really like this, and I encourage people, if you have some thoughts, to share them in the chat as well. But she asked if we have some fun ideas to keep team morale up now and when we return. Always looking for some neat things to do with the team. So I opened it up and just told her about what my husband's team was doing with the virtual happy hour. And theming it. So every virtual happy hour has something new. First one, I think we did Never Have I Ever. And the second one, we did a online trivia where we all competed against each other. So that was fun during this time where we're not seeing many faces. Do you have any thoughts, Ray?
I like to poll the audience, meaning, my team, what do they need? Because their needs might look a little bit different than my needs. So I want to make sure that everybody feels included in those particular activities. And they can be everything from just little energizers. Like the other day at our meeting, we went around and said, if you could have any actor or actress play you in a movie, who would it be? And so that was just a fun kind of energizer, a way to bring about other conversations, all the way to those virtual social gatherings that we're seeing. There's so many different things, take time or don't take time. One of the things my daughter's group did is they actually had a meal together. And I thought this was really clever. So everybody at home prepared the exact same thing, and then they all ate the same food, but of course at their own individual houses. And it was simple, but it was still, everybody ate the same thing, drank the same thing. And they felt kind of that closeness, about the mashed potatoes, because everybody was having it together. So ask your team, what's some things that they'd like to be doing. And then maybe it's just energizers, or maybe it is some of those virtual activities coming back together like that.
Absolutely. I think the benefit, and I mentioned this in the chat too, is some of these things like that, your energizers or the virtual happy hours, it's those times maybe you're getting information about your colleagues that you wouldn't otherwise have time for or even think about wanting to do in the workplace necessarily. So it really kind of helps with those interpersonal relationships. Davina says, how about some group walks while the weather is nice? So that's a good idea. And I think someone else mentioned earlier, they have a Facebook Spirit Week coming up. So for their team, they use Facebook for a Spirit Week for that. So lots of great ideas here. I'm not seeing any other questions at this time though, Ray.
All right, wonderful. Well, I just wanted to remind everybody about those upcoming sessions. So we're gonna keep on keeping on. We're gonna get back to our new normal, and that's based on the topics that we would normally deliver and train on. So hope you can join us starting in July for our Flash Friday webinars. I'm really excited about those. We also have Topic Tuesdays that we're gonna keep going. So those are geared more towards supervisors and managers topic-wise. So let us know if any of those are interesting to you. And of course, we always do customized programming as well for organizations. So happy to come in and create something just for you and your team as well. All right, the ones we have left in June, accountability for remote workers and practical tips for remaining proactive. So that's still part of our COVID-19 webinar sessions. So we're going to continue those through June, and then we're going to switch back to the new and improved Missouri Training Institute topics. So hope you can join us for some of those. Let us hear from you if how things went. You'll be getting a survey. And of course, Brianna mentioned that this will go up in the recorded session will go up probably by the end of the week under resources on our website. So if you need to go back and capture something or share it with someone, it will be available then too. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a great day.